Hello, guys, welcome to Designer's first podcast, and today's topic will be basics of brand design. Today, we have our lovely guest here, Hrishant, who is a brand designer. Hrishant, over to you. Can you introduce yourself?
Uh, Hello, people. Uh, as he told, I'm Rishant. I'm a brand designer, but you guys know me as the blue guy on Instagram who only keeps on talking about the color blue. It's my favorite color, not negotiating about it. But basically, my love for storytelling and design has got me to getting into the brand designing and strategy. So that's what I do. I make stories more than logo.
That's great. That's great. So, Hrishant, I'll just ask you one question. So, basically, what's the basic roadmap, of becoming a basic brand designer?
So let's talk about the very basic thing that actually needs for any brand designer to come over. Let's not talk about the business part. Let's talk about the skills part at the start, right? So when you talk about the skills, it's the core foundation for anything you would be doing. Let it be freelancing, let it be job, let it be you running an agency, whatever. It's just gonna be your skill basic. So from the time that I've been doing things, I've understood one thing. As everyone say, practice. I know it's overrated. You hear it from almost everyone, but consistency and having a patience over a time doing certain things is very important. See, you are in a very creative field, right? And in a creative field, you have your own strengths from bachpan se. And you, let's say I am not good at drawing. I can't draw even an apple right now, but when it's come to digital, I can just do it on Illustrator. So everyone have a very different set of skills and some kind of attributes with them. So first thing is to try without giving or understanding or finding your own style. Like, it's very important to put your hands into everything, get dirty, try everything, showcase everything, like get criticism. I know it's not good at start, but that's how you take it. You put up your bad work, you get feedback, you improve. So the basic structure is to really understand core but get it into a practical, not leave it to a theory. Until unless you put your practical sense, I think you're not gonna make it. The roadmap is easy, but it only sticks with people who could take up action and get consistent with every day. Because I learned it very hard way to get consistent with the format, with the structure, with the skills. Let it be small things, let it be a small illustration, but having a consistency on a daily basis would give you a long-term result.
Yeah, that's very well said, Rishant. Moving on to the second question. What are the basic key elements of brand design and how can they contribute to a brand's identity?
So let's say, as you know, things are moving into more digital. Internet, not even internet right now. I'm talking about the 2000-ish, like when 2000-ish time, when the companies and organizations were developing themselves into a brand because they wanted to sustain the competition. It was
True.
very hard, and people were very doubtful about the branding part at the earliest. But today, if you see, everyone are running around the brand because they want to only focus on one key element, which is to become as human as possible. So for any brand designing, the very core part is to have a design skill, obviously. Other than that, you really need to understand there's a thing, when you design, when you do strategy for something, your design should be very thing that it should really make what the brand is looking for. Let's say, obviously any brand is here to make money. The first goal is money, but more than that, they focus on people, they focus on the benefits. So the core for any brand designing would be to really understand people and make them part of your design. So giving a human touch, giving a personality to any design is what makes, I think, any design stand out in the market. And I think that also generates a ROI, and that's what any brands are looking for, the brand strategy and brand designers who are working out. Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay, moving on to the third question, guys. How can businesses use brand design to create a unique and memorable brand personality?
It's very straightforward. If you see on like revolutions of brand, the only key factor which runs around is trust. Every brand is running around to gain trust. Let it be from the strategy part, let it be in form of strategy converted to design. So if you see a normal local store and a brand, you could see a difference in price, you can see a difference in customer preferences, you see difference in convenience. We might go to the local store for smaller things, but let's say when you have a brand, it's stronger in its strategy and you are able to convey it through your designs. It's very easy for brands to put you in the loophole of trust, because trust takes time. If you see any of the bigger brand, any of the oldest brand, one of the greatest example is Nike. It has been around for many years, and you could see like it has bred a very good trust. There are customers, audiences that are ready to buy anything that you put. It same applies for any personal brand. You put up a design, you show up your personality. For personal brands, it's your own personality. Let's say my brand's personality is fun. I try conveying fun. I don't like to get very serious about things. So that's my personality. And for my brand designing and a strategy part, it's very important to gain trust of my clients. So that's the reason I was looking for a color palette. And when I was looking for the overall design, that's how my blue color get in, because in over of years, blue has been used by people, brands, to gain trust, because it plays a very important role. If you see any of the banks, they use a blue color, and it instantly pushes a psychology with the design elements you use. So for brands, it's a very game changer because it gets you ROI, it gets you a visibility in the heavy competitive market, and working on your personality is a very great way to get a human touch, because now things are getting little harder because you have a lot of competition, you have a lot of similar brands selling similar products, but how do you stand out in a market with your voice on your design and your way of behaving is very important. So if you look, you have a four wall, right? You have a four wall and a room and you're setting. Anyone would never like to speak to a wall and it would not reply, rather than speaking to someone who could like give you the vibe. So basically any brand design we do, it's all connected to the strategy, the business strategy, the brand strategy. Working upon is one simple thing to how to make it as human as possible.
Got it, got it.
So
you
yeah.
mentioned color palette, right? So let's get on that side. So what role does color psychology play in brand design, and how can it influence consumer, perception?
Yeah. So when you see a design, in a sense, there are many collaterals, many deliverables that hold together a single design converting. But colors play a very important role, because they could like visually turn anything or any structure into really understandable format. So if you see the Tiffany and Co has been like into the market. What do they sell? They sell jewelries, they sell into other stuff, and they are into a multi-dimensional. But if you see the color, the blue, the light blue, the neon blue, whatever you call it, it's been a significant. So whenever you see their color, and there was a research done which says ki the Tiffany blue color stands out so out ki when you don't put the brand name Tiffany and Co, and you still place the color in a billboard, people are able to match it to Tiffany
Yeah.
and Co. And that's how the color is very psychologically power to push you towards anything. If you see every, like, you have a food brand, you have other, let's say, courier services, you have health and
Apparel.
wellness. Everyone has their own. For food, if you see, they use a lot of red, because as psychology, red has been seen as people to get hungry. Like, if you
Yeah.
see any mall, you get into any mall, you see a lot of brands using red, KFC, McDonald's, with their other secondary parts. And psychological read shows that whenever a human brain sees red, it gets you more hungry and pulls you towards the brand. So that's how the colors has been working around. But if I had to say, colors be a part, but they don't get into the whole proper. So it's the shapes with the color, with the alignment, with the use of fonts, with the use of placement. That's how it's all attracting. It's not the one element. People get it very wrong.
Got it. Amazing examples you gave today. Moving on, how do typography choices impact a brand's visual identity and messaging?
Typography, it's a very important thing at the end. See, let's say type is like, you have type, let's say, in subconscious, and when you read type, when you see a type on a billboard, let's say, you ignore it. Like, now key attention spans have gone down. So let's say you are going down a billboard and you see a board and you try to ignore it, but somewhere the other, the type subconsciously gets into your mind and it reads and it gives you a message subconsciously. And that's how the types are very powerful. Because if you see in marketing and in advertising, there have been a way where in 2000 advertisers were like very very collapsed and very fond of like finding new ways to keep people watching the same channel without skipping.
Yeah.
So they wanted to get the attention span. So they brought in integrated brand integration, product integration, and they wanted to make sales for the brands and charge a less. So what do we do in traditional marketing? They introduced that, and in between, they used to create a hook. They used to move it towards the show, and in between they used to slightly put in the products. And now it's very common, everyone does that. But that's how that time they were keeping the audience hooked and they were able to make sales. So that way is like type is like a foundation for any design you do. At the end, color kuch bhi chun lo, you take anything. When a type sets the mood, right? Type
Yeah.
sets the mood for your design, because you can you set up your personality. Let's say you have a wine brand, and it's a sophisticated, it's a premium, it's a, let's say, it's premium brand, it's selling at a premium segment, luxury. It talks about very like luxury, people could only afford it. So
Yeah.
let's say half of the work is done by the other design elements. Let it be colors and the choose of colors. Let's say I'm going for a color palette, and the other mode has been performed by the way the type is used. See, you have serifs, sans serifs, the cursive, luxury. So each typefaces,
Yeah.
so let's say you use a Helvetica
Yeah.
or a Comic Sans, which is a very comical type, and you use it for a luxury wine brand. Does it convey anything?
No. Helvetica
So
stands out.
that way, type matter a lot, because when you try to ignore it also, they subconsciously convert a message inside your brain, and that's how they are very powerful.
Yeah.
Mastering that would be a very, very important thing. There's a book I would like really suggest everyone like to get your hands on.
Yeah.
There's a book called Why Fonts Matter. It's a very great book. It talks about like how fonts and their history has been, why do they matter, and how do they really work. So it's a very like interesting read. You won't get bored with it. So yeah, you should give a try to that book.
Definitely, definitely. We have the question: how has the evolution of design media influenced brand design, marketing, and strategies?
That was a really shift into internet. So it has moved from a traditional medium to a digital medium, and when the traditional mediums had eyeballs, it shifted to digital. And it's very straightforward. All the artists, all the creators were moving into where the eyeballs were. So it was very great way that you jump into digital. Not only digital, you get into all the mediums that you could put your hands on. So it's like you could showcase your work, you could get your feedback, and it's a very good thing that it's not even an original design for your client. And that's a very great part, that you get an instant feedback when you have an audience. When you also get criticism, it's very important to learn how to take it positively. So moving into digital from traditional, it has been a great massive impression for everyone to open up to their work. It has been very easy that you could be anywhere in the world and does not spend a penny and could still put up your work. So that's a very great additional. I really like enjoy both the medium, but I always used to get scared, like what happens if digital shuts down.
Yeah.
We'll be moving to traditional, but I don't see that happening.
Okay. So, very interesting question I got. This very generative AIs and every different AIs are coming up. So, what do you think? How much impactful can different AI technologies can be on brand design?
For brand designing, AI has been developing. It has been not to the fullest work that it could get up the whole design for you, but it's very useful for you to get into these parts, which are research, which are understanding the history of any brand, because it gives you detailed information which used to take you like week to understand and find different links. So in a research part, into understanding what will be going in, into putting up what will be like the brands have gone through, what are the market gaps, what are the ideas. You could take a personality, you could take information from it, but at the end, for brand designing, I think from a research part, it's all going to be from your side understanding, because I've tried AI, I've tried building brands using AI for my YouTube video, but it could not do certain parts. But things have been developing. I've been into looking for new apps. I'm very excited about it. For mockups, good. The generative AI has been a game changer, because it was doing the manipulation work of any art in just a click, which the artists were taking a longer time to search stock images, to add highlights. So it's a save up of time, and as AI come in, it opens more doors for people to get in. The competition would increase gradually, but at the end, having a communication with your client, and as I said, for any brand, it's very important to have a human touch. So you need to be very aware of where you need to have a human touch and where you can automate things. So it's very important for you to understand that, because at the end you are also a personal brand selling something to a client. So
Yeah, got it. So basically, what are some now very cost effective ways for startups to create a compelling brand design on a limited budget?
let's talk about not even limited budget. Let's say you're not getting a brand designer, which I would really suggest any brands to. But my main focus has been to brands to more invest upon their strategies, really understanding the three questions that Simon Sinek says all the time: understanding what, how, and why. Understanding why is a really good decision for your brand to get through strategy, design, customer, target audience, and all the foundation. It sets up a foundation for everything. So let's say you come up as a new brand. Let's say, for an example, you are an apparel brand. You are into streetwear, which is a very crowded market right now, but we'll try figuring out a new. Let's say you're starting with a name. You could do it through yourself, understanding who are you gonna help, who are gonna be your target audience. Understanding a customer is very important in the research part, and who are you are serving is very important. So these are the 6 questions like I normally ask. Like, why the brand is here? Why should people care? What do you do? And how do you do it? And what are the ways it's gonna help people? And how is your personality developed differently? Like, how can you develop your personality differently from other brands who are already into thing? Because you don't want to make the same brand. Let's say, for example, I don't want to take names, but the streetwear brand, it says it's into semi-premium costing. It says we are futuristic in design, we make the best design, and you try to convey the same things. You would not find the market gap. You're not working on your foundation as strategy, then the design would not flow in properly. So moving from the questions, you move into your design. So for design, if you don't have a budget, you have your name. Get into your note and pen and paper. Let's say you have your 3 personalities and values fixed up, which is semi-premium, we are fun to be around, we are futuristic, and you start drawing upon things. And for any brand without budget, it's like very open for you to test the market. Like, make a logo somewhere or the other. Don't copy, just get a logo done by yourself, draw it on paper, get it on Canva, get it on any canvas, put it up on your screens, get it into your social medias, get it into everywhere the eyeballs are. Mainly focus upon your design because that's what you're gonna sell. Focusing on your customers and your design, it's very important. And having a very curated design, like a very curated page, like on social media, because that's where your eyeballs are.
Yeah.
It's very important to maintain a presentation. Like, how would you wear a cloth and how would you present for a party? You're gonna present your brand in that way. Let's say your shirt is gonna be your color, your inner shirt is gonna be your typography, and your watch is gonna speak about how the brand is gonna use the elements, accessories, and all that. So it's very important to focus for a brand more than a design, is to focus on their customers and the strategy and try to establish. And once you make up from there, I would really suggest for any brand to work upon their design and improve their game slowly. At start, it's not a necessary for everyone, but with anyone with the budget, have a idea. Testing up in the market is very important.
Got it.
Because without that, no one can give you an assurity, neither me, neither you.
Yeah. So you mentioned a logo, right? Logos. Every company today has logos, right?
Yeah.
So can you mention how can someone improve their existing logos, or what are the basic process involved in logo creation?
So talking about the process, understanding the client is very important. Like, very important. You get a vague questionnaire, like you understand the history, like sab kuch samjho, like from the start to end. Just imagine yourself being the founder of the brand. Like, thinking from that perspective is very important because that has helped me a lot. From the questionnaire, I normally move from the in-depth questionnaire. I just read it like 5-6 times. Like, you don't need to work upon your personality and value, because when the client gives you the questionnaire, explains you about his brand, he's already mentioning so much information in that it like gets you the personality and value. It's for you to work upon, like to curate them, to put them in a group and make it as easy, as simple as possible to convey into a design. Once the little strategy small part is done, because I always start my designs with a small strategy, because it's very important for me to give every client why that step was taken, क्यों किया मैंने. So from that's how the design process starts. The next, we start with understanding keywords.
Okay.
I curate a mood board, understanding the keywords that I have for the brand. I curate a mood board. I give 2 to 3 options to my client, which are very different mood boards in them. All the 3 or 2 are very different with different keywords, getting into 2 different directions for a brand. And from that, the client chooses one that he feels very connected with. And we start with designing on paper, which is the very best thing, because going digital at first, it's not a good choice.
True.
But for some people, it's very easy to draw on digital and move. But for me, it's always been a pen and paper to start a point. Just sketch, man. I just sketch like 50, 60 word marks, logos, and I'm still not satisfied. I was like, I want to draw more. And from that 50, 60 logos, you get your one logo, you refine it, you get your aligned it with your values, your keywords. And if everything is fine, you get presenting. Presenting is very important, because if you don't present, you're not going to sell your logo. Let's say, for an example, Nike is designed by me. I'm just going to send it to the client through WhatsApp. Dekho, this is the logo.
Yeah.
And the client is going to soon reject it, because you're not giving him enough to understand kyun aise design kiya maine.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind? So when you put it into a presentation, a good presentation, you make it on MS Word, whatever the hell you want. You do it on anything you want. But presenting, making him understand, because you want to make him understand like he's a grade 5 boy. Because clients are not so much understandable of heavy words that you use in the design industry. So you want to simplify as possible. You can use AI over here to write all your descriptions. You could just write your headlines and say, this is my brand, this is a logo, and you could also put in your images into ChatGPT, so it helps you to define it.
Okay.
So you can define it. That has been a very easy way, because it helps you in writing so faster things, and you can just alter it by yourself. You can make a template and use it again and again. So when you present it and when you make him understand why did I logo, and most of the time you need not redesign it. It does not take more than one revision, and the client accepts it, even though, because you give him enough reasons to accept it. So it's very important to give a reason, make him understand why did you do each and every step. And I think that's a very straightforward process that most of the designers do. But presenting and having a final impression is very important, as like you have your first impression while making a client book you. And for designing the logo, it's very important to understand that your logo should not be convey what your brand does. Like it should not have like, chalo ye bhi dal deta hu, ye bhi dal deta hu. Like my brand is like a tech company. Let's say I do laptops. I am Apple and I want to do showcase Apple. So I put a laptop into my Apple logo. I put my iPod. I put my earbuds. It's very irritating,
messy.
right?
Yeah.
Because at the end you see Apple logo. It does not convey anything regarding
what they're doing,
their technology, but it really conveys their core value, which is innovation, which is to be creative, which is to be very simple. If you see most of the legendary brands, it's very simple. They don't try to convert too much with the logo. They try to convey too much with their strategy, their design, but they don't overload everything together. They put one by one, each by each, and they try making it as a legacy. Like let's say 10 साल लगने दो करते हैं, but there's also a way that brands, if you want to grow faster, they use a different technique. But it's a very base for anyone to understand कि logo should not hold all the meaning what your brand does.
Yeah, got it. So we are talking about big companies and the future and the tech, right? So what are some future trends, right, in brand design, for example,
Okay.
in that like businesses and should be aware of?
First thing, I really don't like trends while it comes to logo design and brand designing.
Yeah.
Because when you stick up to a trend, you are like limiting your brand to a particular of time. Because if you see a trend ka overlook, let's see into reels, right?
Yeah.
Reel, you get a new song, people make a trend over it.
Yeah.
After some time, it starts dissolving. Dheere dheere, people are not interested. They jump on the next trend, which will get them viral. So it's the same psychology that you are using here. You just want your brand to go viral now, and after some year, or let's say after few period of time, that design or the trend for the logo has gone. People will stop connecting with your brand. Like, it's really important for you to not jump on the trends and design anything related to a brand, because you're looking into a long-term game.
Yeah.
When you're playing a long-term game, trends are not useful.
Got it.
And it's very important, if you're even redesigning, it's very important for you to align it with your strategy and really consider your audience who have been built.
Got it.
Because if you see a great example that I could give is the Gap's logo. Everyone knew about it. It's a clothing company. They tried changing their logo because they were not able to. They were like shifting towards their market because they entered as a gap market. Like, they found a gap in the market where they were doing a fast fashion kind of thing. Like, they're filling up the teenagers ke liye, the younger versions, like 20-25, who wanted a change. They built a cult. Very good brand. I'm not talking about them anything, like, but they made, like, they thought ki recently their sales were going down because you had competition taking over Zara and all.
Yeah.
So they thought they would reposition it, but once they did, people could not relate to them because it was a very classic logo in form of strategy. It was very classic because they had a cult which was only there to buy one single thing from the brand. But once you rebranded, it was a very failure because they had to get back to the old logo in like 6 days. So it was a failure because they could not understand what their customer wanted. And to my senses, they considered a little bit of trend.
Got it. Very interesting. So, okay, last but not the least question today. How can small businesses use brand design to compete with larger, well-established brands?
See, when you talk about designing, it's very universal to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, I would suggest every brand getting in to have their own personal voice and not focus on a short-term game. Okay? Because big brands they have the vulnerability, they have the access to, what do you say, resources. So when you are competing with the bigger brand, it's very important to have a unique set of voice. Okay? Let's say you're getting into, like, you're starting a small candle business. Big brands have the resources. Let's say a brand is into clothing, lifestyle, not into home thing, but they decide to get into candle and all the lifestyle things that are, people are like the scented candles and all. They try getting in. Zara gets into it, and it's like, what do you say, Zara need not like push it too much because they have an audience. They could sell it properly. So for small brands, it becomes a very like a tight situation. But they need to talk about a long-term game, like being consistent, pushing and making an audience. Because digital you have an eyeball, everyone are growing. It's really important to hold an audience and make them mature over a time. So focus on audience who would like buy anything that you launch. So that's why people are moving towards trust, honesty towards the consumers. Every brand is struggling with it, but you need to find a way as a small, but that builds a long term. You can't build it in a short term. It takes time. it takes amount of thing. It's not always about design, but design is a base for everything you do.
True.
Because you set up a strategy for your business, you have a business ka plan, but what you will say, you will go and say it as a theory to your audience, they won't understand. So that's where design comes in. Design
Yeah.
is getting your brand ka strategy visually to your people. That's it.
Got it. So we are just summing up the podcast here. Do you have anything else to say to the audience?
Nothing. I get so much of DMs particular to like, bro, kya
Yeah.
karna hai? Where
Yeah.
do you like get like resources? And it's very struggling. People say ki YouTube is the best place. You get courses, but when you are on your own, it's very hard to find them. It's very hard to find them. So one of the greatest things that ki more than YouTube, I've been open to reading books on design.
Got it.
I have a set of like structure. ठीक है? You can search it through AI, ChatGPT. Use your ChatGPT. Just ask it, like, hey, like you are a brand designer, you are an expert in the niche, and I'm a beginner brand designer. I'm new to the thing. So just prompt it like, hey, you are a brand designer and you are an expert. I'm a new to the industry. Help me with growing my brand designing skills. Guide me and give me a timetable which I would be learning every day, and also give me uncommon advices. So AI does a very good job in explaining you a very outline of things. And you can like again say it, like brief it or give details about it. So once you do that, you can go into the open internet and you have to just copy the topic from AI and just paste it. So AI has done that work very easier.
Yeah.
But before AI, it was very hard because you had to find like the proper video, because once you get into one video and you feel like, bro, he has taught something which I wanted, but this is going into some different direction which I don't want to learn right now because core mein ja raha hai.
Yeah. Got it.
So, and after that, it's very important to be like open to criticism and feedback, because when you put your bad work, that's when you grow.
Yeah.
And patience and practice are the third thing that I would really want everyone, because see, as I'm a designer, I'm not that experienced, but I could say ki I'm still struggling with the consistency.
Yeah.
But you have to at a point, because it comes in a long-term game again. You have to look at it as a long-term career, but get your like active, like 20 minutes a day and a 10 minutes of practical work is really enough for any designer to work.
That's really great, Hrishant. I hope guys, those who are listening have come to this point of the video, you must have gotten some intel on basics of brand design. And thank you so much, Hrishant, for attending this podcast with me today. And you have started the resolution for Designare, and we hope to see you in our workshop soon. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Vansh.
Yeah.
It was a great time.